This is KHEA Radio. I have Dr. Chapa in studio, teaming up with Mainsqueeze Juice Company out of Webster at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, doing another giveaway. So how you have the opportunity to win is you take your cell phone, you text SQUEEZE, SQUEEZE, to 474747. Hit send. You'll be popped back saying, hey, thank you for entering. I already entered this morning. I'm the first one. I'm hoping that plays a factor in me getting to win.
Dude, I might go ahead and jump on right now here and squeeze myself into the mix.
Let's go. All right, I'm going to kick it on the FM and give them the opportunity. I guess our social media people have a little bit of an advantage entering first, but I love you guys, so that's why we do that for you. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's just after 9 o'clock, and I'm excited. I got Dr. Chapa in studio. We're teaming up for a giveaway, Dr. Chapa.
I know, man. We're doing it again. This time, it's the same one we've done in the past. We're teaming up with Mainsqueeze there in Webster, Texas. Jeff and I are good buddies, and I love his juice company. I love what he promotes with respect to juices that haven't been pasteurized and homogenized and beat up and adulterated. They are, a tool. Juicing is a tool in the fasting realm to restore the GI tract, to restore health and wellness, to give the body a digestive break, a vacation from solid food. We call it a solid food vacation. We call it a treat for those that follow John Rose, who is another nutrition scientist that is big into juicing. And I, leverage many different faculties and tools in my own personal life to live better and be better. And so texting 474747 squeeze. And the nice thing is when you type in squeeze, your autocorrect will go ahead and pull the rest of it up if you don't know how many E's that go in that squeeze. But definitely tune in, share the message of health and wellness that Living Well brings every week, 9 to 10 on KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. So those that are tuning in, we're so thankful, we're so blessed, we're excited that you're here because we know that you're gonna learn something great today that will apply to you, your family, your friends, your loved ones. And the nice thing is the message that we teach. It's simple. All life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows you to spiral off into la-la land and sick land, symptom land, or to get traction and move forward in a positive, healthy way. So we want you to get that traction and get your health under control and start moving forward in a way that serves you, your family, better. Because some of the gift that you can pass on is knowledge. And knowledge, most people do what they have seen modeled before them. So that could be fast food, convenient food, junk food, sugar foods. And we've got to teach people that those foods are potentially ruining their gene code. They're causing their gene code to express illness patterns, causing their gene code to express early diseases that take root in the body when they shouldn't. We shouldn't have cancer take root in a way that it manifests on the surface where we can catch it in a test or we can see it in a PET scan. We want to never see it happen. We want your body to live to a ripe old age and fully function at its best possible ability. And then after God has allowed you to be on this earth for the season that he's given you, 2 weeks later, the cancer can have you, right? It's a part of the returning the dust process. But at that point, you've left the earth suit. You're not suffering needlessly. And so many people today are. And so if you can assess yourself, you can go to justlivewell.com. We have plenty of assessment tools up there, and you can take some of our health and wellness surveys. And those surveys will help you start finding out how you're doing in the fatigue department, sleep department, health department, and give you an idea of some things that you can start working on. Very, very simple things. But man, it could be as simple as just starting your day right with breakfast. It could be starting your day right with water. It could be starting your day right with warm teas in order to prime that digestive pump. If you've got symptom patterns that you weren't genetically born with, man, I'm just, things to think about. We've got to get you thinking about assessing your health on the regular, because people think too often, Gardy, that I've got high blood pressure, and that's normal for you. That's what they told, one of my patients, last week. It's normal for her to have high blood pressure, But yet I need you to take this drug.
Normal at her age, or what were they saying?
Yeah, exactly. She was 70. She's 73, and they said that she needed to take blood pressure medications, and they were frustrated with it because she won't take the blood pressure medication. They go, listen, it's normal for your blood pressure to go up as you age, and my response back is, if it's normal for your blood pressure to go up as you age, then why are you so adamant about her taking a medication? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I mean, why are you fighting normal?
If it's normal, then just let it be.
That's right. What he means is it's a pattern of routine, like a common thread, that people that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s are going to have higher blood pressure, and it's a sign of something's wrong, so we've got to treat you. Well, really, what he should be asking is, well, why is the body allowing that blood pressure to go up? Why is the symptom manifesting? And that's what people got to start assessing. If you've got symptom patterns, skin rashes, if you've got vision, cloudy vision, you see floaters or spots, you have allergies. Right now, the next 3 to 4 weeks, allergies are going to be running crazy high. I've seen just a lot of people coming in with stuffy, watery sinuses and eyes, puffy under the eyes, and a lot of drainage. And so we're having to help them tighten up their diet to de-inflame the GI tract and open up the liver and the lymph to drain. And then we come in and we support those liver lymphatic pathways with supplementation to help drive the non-infectious allergens out. And it's just cool to have tools, man. I'm so thankful.
Speaking of tools, we've already had a question that came in. People can see what's on the desk here, and I'm kind of curious myself. It's warm. I'm not 100% sure what this is. Is this from Mainsqueeze? Is this part of the giveaway?
No, this is not part of the giveaway. This is warm I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it does look like it's some really bad.
Open that up and smell that goodness.
Okay.
So what this is, I hope I can open mine.
It is very warm.
It literally just came out of my crock pot this morning. Actually, my Instapot, I had it on slow cook. And so this is bone broth.
Smells great.
So I had a master gardener come in a few months ago, and he turned me on to this book by Sally Fallon called Nourishing Broth. Nourishing Broth by Sally Fallon. And I'm already into bone broths. I love making turkey broth. Oh, man, I love a smoked turkey broth. I love chicken broths.
I'd just rather eat the turkey, though, right?
Well, of course you eat the turkey.
Okay.
You enjoy that thing. But here's the cool thing, is how many people throw away all of those bones, all that skin, all the cartilage. They throw away things that they don't need to throw away, and they could repurpose those nutrients. And I would say that sorry, my frontal lobe is being re-engaged. Thank you, external hard drive. The bones, the broth, the cartilage, the bones, the cartilage, and the skins can all be used to make your own personal bone broth. People buy bone broth all the time. The problem is it's the bone broth is watered down. They add too much salt to it, and it doesn't have the amount of nutrients and vitamins if you made your own. And it's very simple. You could just start simply like I did, not with this batch here. We'll explain this one in just a moment. But with the original batches that I'd make is I would just take a rotisserie chicken, an organic bird, and I would take the meat off. We'd eat that for dinner with, green beans or peas or, potatoes and salad, some sort of, meal of that sort. And then I would take all those bones and I would drop them into a crock pot before the Instapot days. And I would throw some water, apple cider vinegar, and I would put onions, onions and carrots and any other greens that might be left over from my preparation of the meal. And I would just set it and go. And you let it run for 8 hours in a crock pot, and then you come back to it. And, man, it looks good, smells good. And I just make broths because when you're sick, what is the number one thing people know? When you're sick, drink chicken noodle soup, right?
Chicken noodle soup.
Because chicken noodle soup has that broth. And I remember doing that. But man, the canned stuff is laden with MSG. It's laden with unnecessary amounts of what I would call synthetic nutrition. And when you get into the difference between synthetic nutrition, like for example, if I go to the sea and I get sea salt out of the sea, it has tons of minerals, trace elements, 86 plus. 86 that we know of. Who knows how many there really is that we haven't discovered yet. And but when you buy sea salt, average sea salt off the shelf from the store, you find that you are buying sodium chloride that it is sea salt, but they didn't allow it to dry up and give you all those extra trace elements and minerals. And it's the same with the broth. There's no salt that has been added to this. There's actually, the only spices that I put in this is bay leaves, thyme, rosemary, and parsley. And then I also added some nutritional yeast for some extra B vitamins from a company called Premier Research Labs that we use at our office. They're called nutritional flakes. I didn't bring those in, but those are really good add-ons. And you can just sprinkle those in. And the cool thing about making broths is broths are loaded with proteins and collagen and amino acids. They're loaded with minerals like calcium and phosphorus, magnesium, sulfur, sodium and potassium. But it's natural amounts that are coming out of the bones and the cartilage. And so this broth here is the second round. I actually made a broth yesterday that was not quite as liquidy as this. It was a little bit fattier. It had more of the meat added to it. It had the marrow still in the shanks, and it was like a pudding almost. But I fasted with that yesterday, and that was what how I spent my Monday, fasting with water and bone broth. So give that a little, cheers
Take
to
a
good
swig.
health.
Oh,
right here.
yes.
We're gonna keep talking about this stuff. This is bone broth that I made yesterday.
It smells good. Chapa, does it taste good?
You have no idea.
Take a
Makes
little
my
sip.
heart shine, man. So I woke up this morning to this fresh aroma in my house because it was cooking all night. Cooked for 20 hours. It took me 30 minutes to throw this together. I threw in pig's feet and ribs and shoot, I'm drawing a blank on all the things. Beef shanks. And I mean, just a whole slew of like bones and things that I had in the freezer, and I put them in the bottom of the pot there, and I added my water, and then I just put carrots. I put 3 carrots with the tops, 3 onions cut up, and I added parsley, thyme, rosemary, and the bay leaves, a little bit of organic tomato paste, apple cider vinegar. That is a trick, by the way. Apple cider vinegar, when you put a good quarter cup, half cup in that much, you could actually do even a little bit more. I think I'm actually going to do about a full cup next time. It draws the minerals out of the bones and the cartilage. And the reason we want to draw as much nutrients out into the broth is because this is a supplement. Okay, you're supplementing your diet. You're giving your digestive tract amino acids like glycine, glutamine, which, whenever we have a high stress in our life. So if you're a person that is assessing your stress, you've been on shows before where I've talked about adaptocrine, which, by the way,
Got some on hand.
I brought some on hand. You can have some if you like.
How many do I take?
3. And what adaptocrine does is it's holy basil, ashwagandha, rhodiola. It's got a lot of really cool Romania herbs in it, stomach acids even in this product.
Can I take it with the bone broth?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're using the bone broth this morning as a supplement. And so what's cool about the adaptocrine, when your stress is a 7, 8, 9, or a 10 on a 0 to 10 scale, you find that you have to get that under control, or how's it taste?
It's good.
How good?
It makes the adaptocrine taste, well, you can't taste the pill, but it makes it go down smooth. That was easy. I like it.
Yeah, and it's nice and warm, and you can actually taste a little bit of the the fat in there.
I feel like I need a napkin.
Yeah.
Just like on my mouth and just like take my notebook
Yeah,
and
that's right.
just wipe
Let's
my
go ahead
mouth
and
like
kiss
that.
it, like blot it.
Okay, someone asked and they said, "Hey, I'm not really sure about the chunks in there." And I said, "It's like a little snack." What do you mean? What are you not sure about?
That's parsley.
It's parsley?
Yeah, and so it's just a little bit of parsley and some of the fragments of the carrot tops and the onions that might still be in there. So I literally, because I did not, it's still in its pot. I didn't have time to put it in its glass containers.
I like it.
And so I literally just dipped these in thinking, God, he's going to love this morning. And I
Thank
thought
you.
it'd be a nice little show and tell. But here's the reality, dude, is, okay, so when that stress level hits a 7, 8, 9, or a 10, glutamine is getting converted into GABA. It's a neurotransmitter in your brain. And it's a stress modulatory hormone. It helps you stay calm, cool, and collected. Well, what happens is if you run out of glutamine, your GI tract begins to deteriorate. And when it deteriorates, there's these little fibers called zonulin and actomyosin that begin to wear out. And I'm going to use a big word, enterocytes. The intestinal lining is made up of these little cells called enterocytes, and they start degenerating. They start breaking down their connective matrix. And glutamine is one of the key ingredients in preventing leaky gut. You've heard this term, and some doctors are still struggling to wrap their head around that there's actually holes in your digestive tract. There's no possible way, they think or say. But the reality is it's possible. When undigested particles are getting across the lining into the bloodstream, they create and wreak havoc. They spark your immune system into action to these foreign proteins because they're too big. Antibodies are formed. Now the body starts having negative reactions to food. We call those intolerances. They can evolve into allergens. But what happens is now the enterocytes are breaking down. Also, the enterocytes or the blood-brain barrier in the endothelial lining begin to break down. And now your defenses internally are getting worn out because you lack some of these key amino acids. And you can get every amino acid you need from bone broth. And it does come from animals, folks. Like, you can't get this complete nutrient density from any other source. But when we look at the collagen matrix, we look at the glycine and the glutamine coming together, you start sealing and healing the gut lining and making sure that you have stress neurotransmitters precursors. So GABA doesn't run dry. The last thing you want is for your GABA stores to run dry. And if you find yourself stressing between a 7 to a 10, 90% of the time, 70% of the time, your body is ripping and roaring around a racetrack at rapid speeds. How about that for a R alliteration? All my grammar friends would love me for that one. I don't know where it came from. I must have been the bone broth. God bless the bone broth. And so that stress load now will take a toll on your body, and your fuse and tolerance to handling life's challenges begins to go down. Now you're not going to be able to sleep as well. Now you're not going to be able to recover as well because now all of your minerals are getting used up for regeneration and recovery or dealing with society and some of the other stresses. Like, when that stress level is at a 7 to a 10, you've got to recognize that you're more prone to all types of infections. You're more prone to allergens. You're more prone to inability to digest. So now you're going to start developing acid reflux, indigestion. You're going to be up all night, tossing, turning. You're going to have cramps in your legs. And you're thinking, man, how does this guy know all my symptoms? Well, because I see, many patients every week for years and years and years now that have the same patterns of dysfunction. And if you have nutritional deficiencies, bone broth is a very simple way to add nutrition, and it doesn't cost hardly anything. 3 carrots, celery, onions, thyme, rosemary. Just a little bit of spices. If you drop in the nutritional flakes, it's just like, sprinkling salt all over the food, but it's not salt. It's B vitamins. And then you're repurposing the bones and the skin and the cartilages that you would have thrown away anyway.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of questions that are coming in about the bone broth, and I'm going to see if we can get these asked and answered. But I want to make a reminder. Maybe there should be a giveaway at some point for some of Chapa's bone broth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But right now we're doing one with Mainsqueeze.
One of your, by the way, particles that are floating around in your goodness there is a mushroom.
I love mushrooms.
I did have a mushroom in yours.
I love mushrooms.
If you're lucky, it's one of those psychedelic ones, but if so, we'll trade. I'll take it.
Okay. So
Sorry, frontal lobe.
If you want to be entered and have the chance to win some of the juice from Mainsqueeze in partnership with Living Well, Dr. Chapa, all you have to do is take your cell phone, text the word squeeze to 474747. Text squeeze to 474747. You can have the opportunity to win. Hopefully in the future we can do one of these bone broth giveaways. I'm going to make sure I enter. So the first question, this one's from Molly. She said, what should we expect doing a bone broth feast or a fast? Should we work up to a full day? What can you expect? Because you did one yesterday, right?
Yes.
But you've been doing this fasting already.
Correct. So it started last year. I mean, I've always been open to fasting, but I mean, I really made it a lifestyle. I would take the 15th of every month in June of last year, and I started fasting. And it was a water fast, and I would go for about 32 to 36 hours. But you might find that that's just beyond your capacity to deal with. I mean, it is not an easy feat. And I've changed it. And you've got to not be so dogmatic and beat yourself up on what you see somebody else doing. Just know that it's possible to do that yourself if you want to. But recognize it's just like exercise. You don't go in and start lifting the heavy weight day one. You build into it. You learn the routines, the angles, the patterns. It's consistency. You make sure that you're refeeding and you know what I mean? So like I've been, how long I've been detoxing? I mean, I've done 42 detoxes at 21 days each that are vegetable-only detoxes for the most part. As I've gotten into the later ones, we've added some proteins in and things of that nature. And then the shakes have some protein in it. But that's a form of fasting, right? So I got into this water fasting because I have patients that go on 3 and 5. And I had one guy go 35 days on a water fast. And, I mean, I just think it's nuts. I'm like, no way I could do that, you know. Jesus went 40 days on water only, you know, and in the desert. And I'm thinking, whew, you know, I got a long way.
It's a long time.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean I'm not going to strive. Romans 12:1, I beseech thee therefore, brethren, to present your bodies a living sacrifice. So fasting is a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. So it was a spiritual thing for me, and I would do it on the 15th, every 15th, no matter what the 15th was, even if it was an anniversary, a birthday, you know, some big to-do. It didn't matter. That was God's day, and that was a day that I would just commit. So I decided, I guess, 7 weeks ago that I was going to take every Monday and fast. Because I noticed that I have a pattern when I'm training and exercising really hard. I've been taking a day off every week to recover, just give my body a day of where I'm not beating the tar out of it. And you know, and I'm thinking, okay, that could be wise. What if the average American has 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of them? Should we give the digestive tract a break? And everything that I read, everything that I've studied. When I first got into practice, I always heard 80% of everything that you see somebody deal with in their health started in their gut. And now I would tell you that what I've read, and I've even seen this in books, that it is 100% of everything that you see somebody struggling with, whether it's a digestive disorder of any kind. It could be something as extreme as cancer in the colon to ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, or something like irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disease. It could be acid reflux and indigestion. These could all be triggers for you to consider some sort of rest to your digestive tract. And if the average American is right now carrying 10 to 15 meals in their GI tract, that food could be going in through too slow. The food that you ate could be so highly processed that it is irritating the lining. And so now instead of things moving through in a healthy speed, and things should a healthy speed, transit time in your bowel. So what you eat for dinner, it should take approximately 18 hours, 22 at the high, for it to come through. If it goes through too fast, then how are you absorbing any of the nutrients? And a lot of people say, oh yeah, I can tell, I saw what I ate last night. Yuck. But at the end of the day, that's an inappropriate a form of digestion. You did not break food down and leverage it to its full capacity. That's unfortunate because you ate it. Hopefully it tasted good because you didn't get anything from it. But if things go through too slow, then it can percolate and rot in your GI tract because your your body is 98.6 degrees, right? So you're hot. If you took a steak and some sort of meat and stuck it in your oven at 100 degrees, left it there for 3 to 4 days, it would probably not smell too good.
Yeah, it'd be pretty bad.
And that's rotting carcass, correct? Well, you've got bacteria of all sorts and species in your GI tract sitting there working on that as like a buzzard, tearing it apart and tinkering with it and fermenting it, and it is literally rotting in your GI system. So if you don't have a bowel movement, 2 to 3 times a day, you're in TRUBLE land, trouble. And people go, what? There's no way I could have that many bowel. I know, because nobody's taught you that is normal to have 2 to 3 a day, not 1 every so often. There's doctors that have told my patients that having a bowel movement every 3 to 4 days is okay and normal for them. Well, that's malpractice. Let me clog up your sink. And you just use it for the next 4 days. Let me see how if you think it's normal. If that happens, all that spillage spills back into your lymph system. It spills back into your blood system. Your lifeblood now becomes too acidic, and those endothelial cells that line the arteries and arterioles begin to break down. And so that is a problem for the inflamed patient. So if you've got joint pain, if you've got headaches of migraines, if you've got a heart condition, if you've got blood sugar problems, you're a candidate for integrating this type of lifestyle into your world. And so it started for me with just doing the water fast. That might be too much. You might find that you're just fasting from breakfast to dinner and then maybe having dinner when the sun goes down. You could do that. You could maybe have breakfast, since breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Eat your breakfast and then don't eat again until breakfast the next day. There's multiple ways to do this and do it well. I think that leveraging Mainsqueeze, so again, text squeeze to 474747 to enter our Living Well giveaway here on KHEA Radio today, and you can enter to win. Last week we had a great winner. He was very excited, sitting out in his backyard, sipping on his Mainsqueeze with his cool Living Well ice chest, and we'll happy to give that to you guys this week as well. So the nice thing about the broth is it makes the fast a little easier. Doing it with the juice makes it a little easier. And it's still a fast. And you can totally do a 1-day juice fast and get a feel for what it is to go 24 hours without food and solid food, and still keep your blood sugar up so that you can work and stay focused on your whatever it is your deadline or studies, and so that your brain's not melting down. And the juices at Mainsqueeze just absolutely top notch. I mean, they taste amazing. They add no sugar to them. They add no fillers. There's no garbage at all. They do expire. You know what I mean? They're not going to be shipped all over the country because of the pasteurization rules and regulations. And man, we just got this here in our backyard, so take advantage of it. It's really cool.
So there was another question that came in from Andrea. It was about the bone broth. She asked, is there a Dr. Chapa approved bone broth? Because she may not be inclined to making it.
So something from the grocery store?
Something that you can get and buy somewhere?
I'm sure if you go to like Irma's Nutrition Store in Seabrook, she would have a good one on the shelf that would be, probably the healthiest version of processed that you can get.
Have you ever heard of Bonafide?
I have not. I'd have to look them up. Okay. And but at the end of the day, put it in a link in the description. We'll look it up and see. I mean, the thing is it's so easy to make. I mean, really, so easy to make. It's intimidating at first. We're gonna make a little reel, and we'll put it on our Instagram that Living Well has for just show you. Like, I mean, it's not overly complicated. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. I mean, my son was chopping the vegetables while I was videoing him, just telling him, "Hey, where your fingers go when you're dealing with a knife?" Yeah. And the answer is anywhere but under the blade. You know what I mean? Just make sure that your fingers are anywhere but under the blade. And he was cutting the celery and the onions and the carrots up, and we were throwing them in the pot together. And so no, I don't have a store bought, but I would say organic. So if I've bought chicken broths, vegetable broths, beef broths, they've always been an organic brand, and I would, because I believe that it's going to be better than something that might not be. But it is never going to be as good as what you can love into it yourself. If you read just the foreword alone in the Sally Fallon Nourishing Broth book, and maybe chapter 17 on digestion, you'll be hooked. You'll go, okay, this is worth integrating into my busy life. And so I don't have a store-bought, one, but organic would be things that I bought from Costco or the HEB, but definitely probably, a little higher dollar over at, if it was like a true farmer grade level. And I bet you your smaller, nutrition stores would have that because they're going to have those specialty items. They're going to be richer and more nutritionally dense. But, man, you got to try it. It's so, it truly, it's something about knowing that my son and I were spooning out the marrow guardy out of the shanks yesterday. And, literally, it was so delightful. It was like pudding. And people are like, "Ooh, that's probably gross." But man, see, there's this substance in it called gelatin, and the gelatin is fantastic for people that are training. And I got to go back over here.
One thing I've noticed, I feel like it's making me hungry. Is that
That's
normal?
stimulating your appetite.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's activating your metabolism.
Yeah.
But the gelatin is anti-aging, it's anti-inflammatory, and it is going to be repairing and regenerative to the cartilaginous matrix that help our bodies move better. And we know if the dude don't move,
the dude don't groove.
The dude don't groove. So we got to make sure that we're doing things that feed the body in such a way that it wants to move and groove in a healthy way.
So I just remembered I got my dude don't move, don't groove. I need to just dab my mouth because sometimes I feel like I need a little napkin with this bone broth.
Yes.
And this is a good reminder. Printed right here on this towel in studio that lives here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The dude don't move, dude don't groove.
Hey, and also a little prayer request for the lady that made that for us, Miss Tammy Rodriguez. Her husband is in the hospital and definitely needs our prayers. And would if you guys could just say a prayer for him. She had reached out to me, and I just want to lift him up. The more prayers, the better. I'm a firm believer that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and He heals us of all of our ails and infirmities. His stripes that He took for us, He took for our sickness and disease, and we can lift each other up and stir each other up and pray each other up. And this is one of those moments. So I'm going to take him a little moment and just, Lord, bless that family. So thank y'all for doing that. And so, yeah, man, going back to this bone broth, man, what if you were in a position where you couldn't eat, but you could get broth? I had a patient one time come in, and they were so sick. They were actually having, after the fact, she was on about 17 medications, but they changed one. They changed one of her blood sugar medications on me, and the insurance company changed it on her, rather, and she didn't tell me they changed it. So I'm sitting here scrambling, trying to figure out why this lady can't eat. She's got digestive irritation. She's nauseous. She's headachy. She's post-cancer, so she's already, nutritionally wrecked, and we're doing everything we can. It was the bone broth that she could tolerate, and literally all we had her on is fish oil and bone broth, and that's where we started. And then it took me about 2 weeks to get her uninflamed enough, even on that nasty drug, for us to figure out what was causing the side effect. And then they changed the drug back, and she was fine, And then over time, we kept nourishing her back, and we got her after another month on a basic protocol and starting to eat again. We supplemented her back up to a point where she was able to get her medications down to 10 medications. So we lost 7 medications. That in and of itself, guys, is a miracle. To get doctors to take you off of a drug is a miracle. But at the end of the day, the reason they took her off the drug is because her blood pressure is more stable, and frankly, it was getting too low, so they had to take her off a blood pressure medication, or 3, or 4, because they don't actually take you off of blood pressure medication. They just stack them back on. And so you've got to stop taking the drugs in the way that with the blind faith that it's going to fix all your ails. You've got to ask the question, okay, I'll take it, but why is my blood pressure up? It's because you're old. Baloney. That's a lie. That is not true. That's ignorance. You got to let that one go, and we've got to start getting a little bit more into what could be driving the process. So okay, we say what could be doing that. And then we say, all right, the blood pressure's up. It could be a food allergy. So what are you eating? Are you eating too much candy? Are you getting into too many sodas? Are you starting your day with too much sugar and cream in your coffee? Are you constipated? Are you not having a bowel movement in the last 3 days, 4 days? I mean, it's just amazing how often it's simple questions that can help us see. Did you have a cheesecake with at a party last night, or with your sister, or your Bible study group? Did you have some sort of cheese dip or fondue? I mean, there's so many things that we all love as delicacies, and we get into, and we think not that we wake up the next morning so stuffy, our head hurts, we can't drag ourselves out of bed because we're so stiff, and we think to ourselves, I'm getting old. It's happening. The great 30s, the great 40s, oh no, the 50s, right? Instead, we've got to be thinking, wait a second, my body's obviously not cleansing itself well if I'm waking up crotchety and crickety. If things are not moving like they're supposed to, and you feel like the Tin Man, or the Scarecrow rather, or the Tin Man, either one of them could be bad situations, and I'm just in here, frontal lobe, please engage, and thank you. I will let that thought go. Then you start thinking to yourself, well, what can I do today to influence my health in a more powerful, positive way? And bone broth fasting could be a cool idea. Juice feasting can be a cool idea. Solid food vacation, getting off the food for a day. And I think that's a really wonderful, cool technique to integrate into our lives.
It's another tool that you have.
It's another tool. And so I really like this idea, and I've been promoting it to patients for a while now, is where it could start is you take 5 days out of every month and you do a GI cleanse. You pull toxins and trash out of the GI tract, and you focus on cleaning, managing your GI tract. Look at it like your kitchen sink. Every cleaning expert around says if you keep the kitchen sink clean, the kitchen itself will be clean. It's like magic. And I thought it was baloney too when I first heard it. But I'm telling you, you will never go into a kitchen that has a clean sink and it not be clean. You go into a dirty kitchen, you'll also look at the sink and it'll be spilling over. And it's probably equally directly proportionate to how many dishes are overflowing in the sink would indicate how dirty and overflowing the kitchen seems to be. And so your kitchen sink in your body is your sewage system, your GI tract. And so proper tissue management comes through proper bowel management. You've got to manage those tissues. And a fast 1 day a week gives the body the nutrients or the body time and rest to work on some of that old junk caked up inside. If you incorporate the juice or incorporate the bone broth, now you've got nutrients that you're pouring in, because if you're nutritionally deficient, your organs are getting weak. And if your organs are getting weak, efficiency is setting in. If you're in a performance state, and let's say that you're somebody that's wanting to just regenerate faster recovery so that you can go work harder again tomorrow, or at least at the same level of intensity that you put in today. I mean, we were just talking a little while ago about that Whoop app, Mm-hmm. Well, if every day was a red zone for you, we would be thinking, all right, Gardy, you're either training too hard, or, man, as young as you are, you should be able to train that hard. Maybe you're not recovering fast enough. So maybe you need more nutrition.
Right, yeah.
And so we just pour more minerals and more amino acids, more collagen into your body so that it has the ability to recover and do its daily activity that it has to do, but it gives you extra gusto to go do the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. And that sounds good.
Yeah.
And you repeat, wash and rinse that idea out every day, every week, every month for all the days of your life. And whenever you start looking at some of the big juice Jack LaLanne fanatics in the world, he said that he, somewhere in his 30s, was his estimated last dessert. He swears that he never had dessert for, after he just came to this place where he just said, no more sugar. He recognized sugar's bad. One of my mentors up in Colorado who teaches us information about our heart sound testing. Our heart sound testing is a device that we use called a heart sound recorder that allows us to measure heart sound in the valves, your mitral valve, tricuspid valve, your aortic and pulmonic valve. And we can assess mineral loading, essential fatty acid deficiencies. We can look at B vitamins. We can look at different factors like calcium and phosphorus and balance those out to help the regulation of an arrhythmic heart, or balance out the insufficiency of a valve that won't close. And we can help the body perform better. I mean, it's just truly amazing that God designed your body to heal, and we need to trust that if you put the right nutrition in, the immune system evolves as fast, or can evolve faster than viruses and bacteria if it has the foundation. And things like the broth and things like incorporating proper tissue cleansing through proper bowel management is the secret. Is you've got to make sure that you're giving the body the tools in order to allow the function that God put in there to function like you need it to. So you don't have to be a genius and go, oh, I need glutamine to support my GABA pathways so that I don't stress myself out and drive straight off this cliff. No. You don't have to worry about the physiology. You just want to start looking to eating healthier foods and bringing in better nourishment into the body so that the body performs in such a way that it performs automatically as God designed it to. Without you should never know your heart is in there beating. It should just beat, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to feel it.
That's right.
Hear it, think about it, feel like it's jumping out your chest.
Think of a headache. You shouldn't feel your brain aching, should you?
Right.
How many people can say, yes, I would like to not feel my head ache ever again? Because, headaches are debilitating. They definitely slow you down, even if it's a 3-level headache. It's still something you're carrying, a burden that you're, thorn in your side. And so we have to look at how the body is functioning in order to make sure that everything is performing and going forward. So I'm a firm believer in leveraging tools. I leverage supplements. I have supplements in here that take down excess estrogen out of my body so that as I'm training and working out, I'm keeping my hormones in proper balance. And they're cruciferous vegetables in a pill because I can't eat enough cruciferous vegetables in a day, although I had a bag of lettuce and red leaf lettuce and spinach on the way over here.
This is vegetable steroids?
These are vegetable steroids, my brother. Polyphenols, and they're healthy and they're nourishing to the soul and to the body. Apple cider vinegar and olive oil. Shot a little of that down before I came on the show this morning. I've got minerals, more minerals.
There's a whole
mineral force,
bag.
The mineral force: calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, manganese, chromium, molybdenum, potassium. Again, I love when my companies will let me put betaine HCl in there because the average person is so stressed out they can't break down the minerals. And they'll say that, oh, minerals make my stomach hurt. Okay, you have to take them with food. I got it, no problem. But it's an indicator that you don't have the right acid. Well, when we take a lot of our mineral products, we don't see that because of the stomach acids that come with the product to help you break it down better. And that's a really cool piece of the process. And boron is another great cool glycine-based mineral that, again, helps these amino acids in our body perform better. So multi-minerals. Now we've got adrenal support and minerals on the support, and we just talked about controlling excess amounts of estrogen. Well, if you're a breast cancer survivor, you know that estrogen is potentially one of the key ingredients. If it gets too high or locked up in your tissues because it's not being managed, then you're more likely to develop some of these nasty conditions. I've got B vitamins in here because I want to make sure that my mitochondria can turn on and pump out more ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That the byproduct of ATP production, ammonia, is now being detoxified via my liver. So I need to make sure that my liver's functioning. So I've got Liviplex in here. I've got Colaplex in here to make sure that those ducts are open. Bilivin to help the gallbladder and those the bile activity to enhance, so that not only can I digest my food better, I can digest those older foods that might be kind of sticking to the walls. I can have somebody in there chiseling that stuff off. Constant road construction, almost like
out here.
Uh-huh.
Oh man,
isn't that crazy,
Dr. Chapa?
So many changes so fast. Congratulations!
You found the entrance in.
I did,
right?
I did. But I can only imagine what it is on a Sunday morning at such an amazing church.
Well, yeah. So if you don't know, there's an Amazon warehouse being built right across the street from us, and they are going to town. There's already concrete poured. They started, doesn't even feel like that long ago, but the plan is to have it up, I believe, before fall, like have this thing operational. So we also have a Christian school. I have a son that goes there, and that's the entrance. They tore that road up. They did it yesterday, and they are going to town is all I'm going to say. So it's good things, and I'm guessing they'll probably have a new road poured by next week sometime.
So let's bring this back home. We've been talking about broth, so let's go ahead. One more cheers. I'm gonna finish mine. You can keep sipping on yours.
It's good.
Taste of a new generation. I'm telling you. It's good stuff. So I have two more products I want to talk about because, again, to the patient to the patients that possibly don't want to make their own broth, you're not there yet. You don't quite understand. You don't have the time. I got a solution. And thankfully, a lot of the products that we use, see, I brought a napkin with mine. You see that?
Smart.
You're jealous.
Got my little,
I kind of left you hanging, and so I'm sorry I didn't do that for you.
No, you're good.
But I have two products that are foundational and for my kids' health and well-being that are food-based. One is called Chewable Catalin. Mm-hmm. Let's look at that one.
Let's look.
And so when you look at the ingredients on there, you're going to see over 200 different phytonutrients and phytochemicals that come from things like carrots and different organ meats. This product here is like a pill form of a bone broth, and so it's a mineral matrix of all kinds of good things. This has got wheat germ, which is tons of B vitamins, calcium lactate, carrots, sweet potatoes, nutritional yeast. Oh, y'all heard that a second ago. Oh, look, adrenal tissue. I could have thrown some adrenal tissue in mine. One of the recipes I'm going to follow recommends liver, so this has liver in it. And somebody asked me yesterday, and they said, wait a second, why would you recommend some people to not eat meat, but you'll let them eat organ meats that are all in these supplements? I'm like, oh, well, the visceral organs are very different tissues than your muscles. And the nutritional density, the vitamins and minerals that are found in organ meats, it supports the body very uniquely. And we used to, in a society in our past, hunter-gatherer days, we would eat the entire animal. We never would throw out the bones and the stuff that we throw out. I mean, they used the bones for weapons. They would use the furs for warmth. But then they would use all the tissues and make their own soups and broths and things in those, hard winters, And so we look at this, and there's all kinds of nutrients that are not actual. It's not an actual liver been thrown in there. It's the mineral matrix of the liver. So I had one lady, get all bent out of shape. She goes, it's got to be rotten if it's got liver in there. And I'm like, come on, dude. Not that we can say much about the FDA approval, but this is regulated by the FDA. They go in and make sure and inspect and that everything is up to snuff. You can lick the floor in this company's warehouse, and in their processing plant.
That'd be a good video.
Yeah, and so next time I'm out there, I'll do that. Magnesium citrate. It's got spleen in it. It's got kidney support in it. It's got pea juice. It's got alfalfa sprouts. It's got oat flour, sunflower lecithin. It's got shiitake mushrooms. Hey, I gave you a little mushroom a little while ago, remember? Mm-hmm. And reishi mushrooms, and then rice bran again for the extra support. Now, you can chew this baby up. Oh, doesn't that sound good in the mic?
What's it called again?
Chewable Catalin.
Chewable Catalin.
200 phytonutrients and phytochemicals, all packed in a little tablet. Tastes like a little cherry vitamin. Really nice. And then we have my other favorite. I lost that one. I'll go get that one in a second.
These are really good.
I'm looking. Oh, it ran away. So this is Congoplex. Why are these two products so foundational for me? It's because they're easy. You can get them in kids. And kids are developing so rapidly. And we live in a society today, guys, where 2/3 of America, children are obese. They're overweight. And they're struggling to have a health potential, to have a health chance.
At the start, really.
At the start.
Develop it.
And so these are developing. These are like, we ran these in a triad. Vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids. These two products are going to have your vitamins and minerals packed in them. There's calcium lactate in both, magnesium in both, key minerals in both that will help both products give your body exactly what it needs in order to run basic processes day in and day out, and give your body the ability to go in and clean house in areas where you're deficient. And that's a cool thing. It has amino acids deep rooted in these visceral tissues, things like collagen and glycine and glutamine and arginine and all your amino acid profile. It has the gut vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, that help those enterocytes work and perform better, to detoxify and produce healthy amounts of mucus, to allow things to slip out that need to slip on out, that don't need to get stuck. So it's an immune builder for the GI tract. It has thymus support in there, thymus support, spleen support, blood cleansing support, to make sure that your immune system is constantly getting a nice little hit. Well, what child is digging in the dirt, as they should? I guess they're not digging in the dirt enough today, but let's say that they are, or they're on the floor, or they, eating after the dog, or, the dog's licking them in the nose and the face and all that. And who knows what the dog's been doing. And so, this is another way to keep the child's immune system being bolstered, strengthened, stimulated in some capacity. And so we've got the minerals in here. We've got the tissue matrix in here. And when we look at a product like this also has ribonucleic acid in it, which is great for brain-body connections. It brings everything together. And I think the bone broth brings everything together. I think, simply stated, if you put in 3 pints of bone broth a day, if you built up to that, maybe you start with 4 ounces like we're kind of doing here this morning, and you had that 3 times. So you had a total of 12 ounces a day. And then you built up, though, to having 3 full pints of bone broth a day in addition to your normal dietary intake. You didn't fast per se, but you leveraged the enhancement of the tool, bone broth, to give your body an extra boost in minerals to help detoxify your body, restore, regenerate your tissues, and to give you that satisfaction and fulfillment of curbing cravings for sugars, because you're not hungry. Are you hungry now that it's set in a little bit?
I'm not, and I was gonna bring that up, but after chewing the cattle in, I don't know if it was something just like mentally in my head. I was going to ask you about that. I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
I had typed that earlier in the comments of like, hey, I'm not hungry anymore. It was like within probably like 5 seconds of chewing that.
And that's because of the, and I think it's the bone broth, really, the fat that's still in that bone broth that's satisfying your blood sugar needs. Because blood sugar it is constantly on the swing for a lot of people. But when you put fat in, it's like a nice healthy log on the fire, and it stabilizes your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar's stable, you're eating for fuel. You're not eating because you can't control yourself. And so you don't have to fight the craving anymore. Now, we have tools like gymnema or chromium picolinate to come in, or we support your pancreas to help you with cravings. But if we can get you doing simple things like this, I think your cravings will go away, and I would never use those products, ever.
Yeah.
Unless you have a true pancreatic glitch, like the beta receptor sites are damaged, right? So I think bone broth has a nourishing effect on blood sugar, on detoxification, on regeneration, on joint health, and I think at the end of the day, and potentially would be a weight loss aid, because you put that kind of stuff in. If you're normally eating 6 times a day, you might find yourself only eating 4, and if you're putting out the energy that demands more fuel, you'll eat. But if you don't need that extra fuel, because you're not expending it elsewhere, and the only reason you're eating is because you're craving, you won't crave anymore. And then therefore you'll start losing weight because you'll get back to a healthy calorie load based on your exercise output. So I think it's just really cool. So I really am enjoying the read. So again, Sally Fallon, Nourishing Broth. I think it's a fantastic look, and I mean it's one of those census plentier type books where you look for nuggets throughout. I just read the introduction. I recognized Chris Kresser and Joseph Mercola and a couple of the other authors right out of the gate, and I said to myself, I like these guys, and I like what they're having to say. I like Sally Fallon. I've known about her with Weston A. Price Foundation for years and years. She has a great reputation. The Master Gardener who referred this book to me, Bill Wyatt, he turned me on to the book, and I was like, I like him, and I respect his knowledge and his belief on food and out of the soil and the richness thereof. And man, he just said you've got to read it. And I was already into broths, but I think I've enhanced my broth making skills in just 1 hour of reading of the book, and 30 minutes of prep and 20 hours of wait time. And man, I'm like pretty excited. Can you tell?
Well, it was delicious. I'm going to say your skills are wonderful. I want to thank your son.
Yes, he would be. If he's listening, he'll be happy to hear, because I got video and they'll see his little hands chopping up veggies. But just remember, for all you little kids out there that might be chopping veggies with mom and dad, where's the blade go? Where do your hands go? Anywhere but under the blade. Make sure that we don't lose any digits in the process of learning to prep and cook.
And if it does, the bone broth must go on. It's just extra nutrients.
That's right. You just got to throw it in there. It's going to be fine. But remember, we do have a giveaway. Text SQUEEZE to 474747 and do that by what time today?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. That's your deadline. And that'll enter you to win the Mainsqueeze giveaway, so that you can take a solid food vacation, so that you can give your digestive tract a break, and that you could team up with Living Well and Mainsqueeze Juice Company right here out of Webster, out of League City, Texas. And we believe in health, man. I want you guys to remember, all life starts and stops at the cellular level. Nutrition is the fundamental backbone, always has been, always will be, for you getting healthy and staying strong all the days of your life. So God bless you all today. We'll see you next time.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it's 10:03. Don't forget, take your cell phone and text the word SQUEEZE to 474747 to have the chance to be entered to win the giveaway with Living Well and Mainsqueeze Juice Company. Y'all be blessed. All right, social media, now's your chance. There was a comment earlier and it said, hey, I'm not going to enter because I don't want to mess up my stream and everything until after it's over. So we're ending this thing. Y'all have a good day.
That's it.